All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of blockchain gaming.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It really is. We got that article you sent, The Future of Blockchain in Gaming and Entertainment, and wow, did it spark some serious debate in the studio.
Big time. I mean, blockchain's everywhere you look these days, right?
Yeah.
Finance, art, even collectible
Don't
teacups.
forget those. But seriously, now it's gaming's turn, and the big question on everyone's mind is this the real deal or just a bunch of hype?
Right. Like, is this going to be as big as they say?
Exactly. And that's what I love about this article. It gets right to the chase. It talks about how blockchain is still searching for its killer app.
Yeah.
That one thing that makes everyone go, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, that light bulb moment. Like, think about the early days of the internet. All that potential, but it took a while to figure out what it was really good for. Remember, like, before email.
Right, or social media. It's like, what did we even do back then?
Exactly. And, big tech revolutions, they don't usually start with a bang. Think about the first cell phones, those giant bricks.
Oh, yeah.
No one could have predicted we'd be walking around with, like, mini computers in our pockets. And the thing about blockchain that's got everyone buzzing is, well, it's this thing called asset tokenization. And honestly, it's way bigger than just finance, even though that's where it all started.
So true.
Think about it. Imagine if when you're playing a game and you win, like a super rare sword or something.
All the holy grail of loot drops.
Right. And it's not just pixels on a screen. That sword, it's really yours. You could trade it, sell it, just like a physical collectible. That's the potential here. But the article brings up a good point. The current state of blockchain gaming. Huh?
A little messy.
To put it mildly,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like the gaming world's been doing this weird dance with blockchain. Lots of talk, lots of promises, but where are the games that make you want to ditch your console and never look back?
Right. Where's the I'm glued to my seat action?
Exactly. I mean, I want to see those forget sleeping, gotta grind this dungeon kind of games, but with blockchain baked in. I think you nailed it there. The article actually dives into some of the issues holding blockchain gaming back, and a big one is, well, a lot of these games, they have these really poorly designed in-game economies, like they're built on sand.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just the tech itself.
Right. It's the whole ecosystem.
Hmm.
There were some games that launched with tons of hype, everyone's excited, but then, boom, everything falls apart because the economics just didn't make sense.
It's like they skipped a few steps in the planning stage.
Totally. It's like they tried to build a whole fantasy world, but they were using monopoly money. It's just not sustainable.
Sooner or later, someone's going to run out of fake cash.
Exactly. What we really need are developers who get it, like they understand how to make amazing, addictive games, and they see how blockchain can take that to a whole new level. They need both.
It's like finding that perfect recipe. And speaking of finding the right fit, the article mentioned something that I thought was really interesting about how some developers are focusing on more niche areas.
Oh, yeah, like finding their lane.
Totally. They gave this example, Chiliz. Apparently, they're all about blockchain for sports and entertainment.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Imagine you're at a basketball game, courtside seats,
Nice.
and with blockchain, you could actually vote on the next play or unlock exclusive content like behind-the-scenes stuff.
Wow.
Talk about next-level fan engagement.
All right, that's wild. It's like they're creating a tailored experience, almost like a VIP section, but for blockchain. I love that.
Right, and that's what I think is so cool about these industry-specific blockchains. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they're laser-focused on a specific audience, a specific experience. Like, imagine if your favorite game used blockchain to give you real ownership of your in-game items, or your favorite sports team used it to give fans voting rights. It's like the difference between playing a generic RPG and one that's designed specifically for fans of, say, cyberpunk or fantasy.
That's a really good point. It's all about catering to a specific niche and doing it really, really well.
Exactly. So this brings us to the million-dollar question the article poses. Can gaming be the thing that finally makes blockchain go mainstream? What do you think?
The million-dollar question. It's like asking if disco will ever make a comeback. But in all seriousness, it's a tough one, right?
It really is.
Because it's kind of like introducing a whole new genre of music to the world.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
It takes time for people to wrap their heads around it. Like, what even is this? To find the artists they connect with, the songs that get them hooked.
Right. Like, I'm not going to suddenly become a country music fan just because someone told me to.
Exactly. And gamers. Gamers are a tough crowd to please.
They know a cash grab when they see one, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. They can sniff out a gimmick a mile away. So if blockchain wants to win them over, it has to be the real deal. It has to offer something that's actually fun, engaging.
Something that adds to the experience, not just tacked on as an afterthought.
100%. We need games that make blockchain feel so natural, so seamless, that players forget it's even there. Until they decide to, say, trade that rare item they found, or vote on the future of the game.
It's like the blockchain part should just fade into the background. You're so caught up in the game, you don't even realize it's there unless you need it.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance. And this actually reminds me of another point the article brought up.
Oh, yeah?
It talked about how there's been so much focus on building the blockchain infrastructure itself, like the nuts and bolts of it all.
Right.
But not enough attention has been paid to creating those must-have applications, those things that make people go, I need this in my life.
Yeah. It's like, okay, imagine building this super fast, state-of-the-art highway.
Okay, I'm with you.
But there are no exits.
And no cars.
Exactly. What's the point, right? You've got this amazing tech, but what good is it if no one's actually using it in a way that makes sense for them? And maybe that's part of the reason why using Web3, especially for newcomers, it can feel a little overwhelming.
Oh, totally.
Like the article even mentioned user experience and security being big hurdles.
Yeah.
And I got to say, they're not wrong. Remember the first time I tried to set up a crypto wallet?
Oh, I feel that. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded.
I swear it took me like a week.
Yeah, Web3 definitely has a learning curve. There's no getting around that. Especially in the early days, it felt like you needed a degree in computer science just to figure out the basics.
So true.
And then there were those high-profile security breaches,
Yeah, those didn't help.
Not a good look. But here's the thing, and I think this is important for anyone listening who's like maybe a little hesitant about Web3.
I'm all ears.
It's getting better. Like way better. We're seeing all these new platforms popping up that are actually user-friendly. And the industry as a whole, they're taking security way more seriously. Think about it, the early internet. It wasn't exactly a walk in the park either.
Oh, tell me about it. Dial up. Don't even get me started.
Right. But the more people used it, the more the technology improved. And the experience just got smoother.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And the more people who are involved, the faster those improvements happen.
Exactly. And that's what needs to happen with Web3.
Get those users on board. But it's interesting because whenever there's this new tech, there's this initial gold rush mentality.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants to strike it rich quick.
Exactly. Everyone's caught up in the hype, the potential for like overnight riches.
Lambos and yachts.
But I always wonder, what happens after the gold rush fades? What's the lasting impact? And that's what I really appreciate about this article. It seems like it's really pushing for a more meaningful role for crypto, like beyond just making a quick buck.
Oh, absolutely. To really stand the test of time, blockchain needs to offer something more than just speculation. It has to solve real-world problems,
Show me the value.
Right. And the article actually pointed to some really intriguing possibilities.
Oh, like what?
Well, they talked about decentralized social networks.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Imagine a world where you actually own your online identity and data.
Wait, so no more shadowy algorithms deciding what I see in my feed.
Gone. You'd be in control.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Like, we're so used to these big companies having all the power.
I know, right? It's like they know us better than we know ourselves.
Seriously. But with a decentralized social network, it's like my data, my rule.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that you could even decide how your data is used and, get this, monetized.
Wait, so I could actually get paid for my data?
Potentially, yeah. And not just pennies either. We're talking about like real value.
So instead of Mark Zuckerberg, it's like I'm the Zuckerberg of my own data.
Exactly. You're the CEO of your own online world.
I like the sound of that. And what's interesting is the article actually specifically called out career platforms as like a prime example of how this could really disrupt things.
Oh, yeah, that was a really insightful point.
Imagine like a platform where your whole professional network, your skills, your entire work history, it's all securely stored on the blockchain.
Talk about taking control of your career.
Right. And you could even potentially like monetize your expertise in ways that we haven't even thought about.
Like, what could that even look like? I'm almost afraid to even try to imagine the possibilities. But, it makes you wonder.
What's that?
Instead of asking, when will blockchain take over the world?
Right.
Maybe the better question is, what problems can blockchain solve that traditional tech can't even touch?
Ooh, now that's a question. And, it's like that old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Maybe the next killer app for blockchain is out there, just waiting for someone to connect the dots.
It's like the pieces are all there, just waiting to be put together.
Right. And who knows? Maybe someone is listening right now.
Maybe it is.
So to everyone tuning in, if you're curious about blockchain, just dive in. Don't be afraid to explore.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Read articles like the one you sent us, experiment with different platforms.
There's so much out there.
I know, right? It's a whole new world. But most importantly, don't be afraid to ask questions. You never know, you might just stumble upon the next big thing.
That's what it's all about, right? Pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo.
Exactly. Well said. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. A huge thank you to everyone for listening and for sending in such a thought-provoking article.
Yeah, this was a great conversation. Until next time, keep those questions coming.
Absolutely. We'll see you all on our next deep dive.